Will members please indicate their presence by voting? Has any member failed to vote? Will the clerk please tally the board?
27 members present.
So with 27 members present, we do have a quorum to conduct business. Mr. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move and ask unanimous consent the journal of the previous days be approved as certified by the Chief Clerk.
Hearing no objection, the journal stands approved. Brings us to introduction of guests. Are there any guests for introduction? Representative Kerttula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask my guests to stand, and then when I've introduced everyone, we can clap for them. But also, we're visited by students from the Alaska Vocational Institute, which is a program of the Southeast Regional Resource Center. It was established in 1984 to provide vocational and job skills training, and my constituents should be in the Paratovich Gallery, and if they'll stand and then hold your applause, it's Wilson Nickley and Cliff Charles. And then I'm also honored to introduce two young women who I've had the pleasure of knowing their whole lives. And I'll start with Rose, the shorter of the two. They're sisters. Rose Seamount is a fourth grader who currently attends Harborview Elementary School. She's 10, and at 11 months old, her parents brought her here from Shanghai, China. And this is her first time as a guest page. Her older sister, Haley, is a senior at Juneau Douglas High School. She was born and raised here in Juneau. She's been a guest page since she was 6. She's visited our floor. But as her mother told me, she's modest. She didn't tell me this herself. But she's not only student body president at JDHS and has been active in a philanthropic group here locally, but she's also one of the 2 Alaskans to join 98 other students from around the country for an intensive one-week internship in Washington, D.C. So it's quite a great program. She'll be able to meet with U.S. senators, with Supreme Court members, and then with the president. So if you'll help me welcome all of my guests. Thank you.
Representative Lynn.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Today in the Warren A. Taylor Gallery, a young man who is here representing as a board member of the Covenant House is the energy guru for Siri. Would you please help me welcome Ethan Shutt?
I was just handed a notice that I am joined here today by a constituent from South Anchorage District 32, Zoya Thomas. Well, my goodness, I was just handed a whole stack of these little things. Mr. Speaker, if with the indulgence of the body, what we have is the group from the ConocoPhillips Civic Action Program has arrived.
A privilege to introduce 2 constituents, and since I've never met either of these gentlemen, I'm not sure which gallery they're in. But would Connor Hallisey and Zach McMahon please stand and help the body, ask the body to help me welcome them.
Representative Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce a constituent, Allison Kimball, with the Civic Action Program from ConocoPhillips. And I'd like to welcome her here, and I bet I know what they want to talk about.
Representative Tuck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 constituents that are here also with ConocoPhillips Civic Action Program. I'd like to introduce both of them. James Bayer, if you please stand. Welcome back to Juneau, James. And then also Katie Nearher. And Katie's also here in support of 2 bills, Senate Bill 171 and House Bill 205. That's the PFD for the deceased. And that's the one where those individuals who have met the residency requirements but were unfortunate have died prior to the application period and therefore not allowed to file their PFD. So if you will, please welcome both of them.
Representative Cisna.
Strengthen our commitment to supporting the Second Amendment rights of Alaska's citizens. I'd also like to give some credit. The work on this bill started by our most recent former member who became a senator, so I picked up the trail mid-session for him and very happy to continue to move this bill forward. House Bill 319 does several things, but it's a bit of an omnibus bill in that it makes a number of cleanups and clarifications in our concealed carry statutes in the state. We also clarify that an expired permit can be displayed, as very carefully choosing the words, like if there are people that want to take their permits and use them on the wall as a souvenir or an memoriam item. The existing statute says you can't display an expired permit. It makes it illegal to put it in a frame and hang it on your wall. Again, clarifying language here. We're saying that you may display a permit as long as there's no intent to claim that it's valid.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move and ask unanimous consent House Joint Resolution 46 be considered engrossed, advanced to third reading, and placed on final passage.
Hearing no objection, will the clerk please read the title for the third and final time?
House Joint Resolution 46, urging congressional support for the reauthorization of the Denali Commission.
To have them less frequent, but I don't remember what the standards are now. And before I vote on something to tell the city what to do, which I'm a little hesitant to do, I'd like to know what the specifics are of the law right now that the representative from the Valley would like to change. So,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard the sponsor's assertion that we don't need this program anymore because we have better, more efficient, cleaner burning cars today. I was wondering if we actually have any statistics on how many cars now fail the test the first time out, and as opposed to a few years ago, how much of the problem has actually gone away. Do we have any real statistics to back up the assertion? Thank you.
Representative Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was one of the people in 2007 who was really delighted to see the IM tests go away, and I think it may just have been purely selfish, but the hassle factor was the biggest consideration. I haven't heard the evidence. I don't know if it's needed or not needed. I tend to think with newer cars, the need is probably reduced, and I'd like to know more details. But what I have a problem with is the state kind of advising the Assembly on what to do about this. It makes sense when we're paying for it to give them advice about it, but as legislators, we're not. As an Anchorage resident, I absolutely have the right to tell the Assembly what I think. But as a legislator, I'm not so certain about that on this issue, so I'm going to oppose the amendment. The bill.
Likewise, Mr. Speaker, I like those resolutions where we just sort of give ourselves what for every once in a while, because we need it too. But I think the situation is different with a resolution in which we're, at least in terms of political power and power of the purse, talking down to somebody else. And that's what we're doing here. I don't have any doubt at all that the Assembly in my town will make the right decision on this, no matter what we tell them. And frankly, Mr. Speaker, I don't really think that we should be jogging their elbow on this, because we are people who can do something that they might not like if they don't do what we tell them. And that's not the way this system is supposed to work as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker. If I want to make decisions for the Anchorage Assembly, Mr. Speaker, I should run for the Anchorage Assembly. And frankly, I think anybody else who wants to should run for the Anchorage Assembly as well. I don't believe that the state of Alaska should be telling the people who run my town anything at all about how they run that town, and so I will be voting no on this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Dugan, any other discussion?